Victorious vagrants. What is the meaning? How to identify yourself, if that's what applies. What are the solutions to it? I'll see you in a minute. Hey, salute to all my peers. It's Ronin back with another one. And this is not going to be a 5-minute fire watch. I'm going to say that for something else. But as always, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for future videos. Now, a victorious vagrant. What does that mean? Where does this come from? And how does it apply to you if it so applies? And shout out to the new subscribers. Welcome to my channel. Do understand that this is a channel that will speak with the use of, blunt force honesty. These are personal observations I've seen, gathered over time, and farts and feelings have the same expiration date. So anybody gets their panties in a bunch, fresh out of fucks. So that being said, let's get the conversation going. So now we're going to talk about the definition of self. Of course, everybody knows what victorious means, but you have to understand when you're being gaslit, literally, which is why we need to understand the definition of what a vagrant is. It's a noun, person without a settled home or regular work that wanders from place to place and lives by begging. A wanderer, rover. If many Google what my name is, Ronin, the meaning is master of the samurai. It takes on a whole different meaning, and Ronin are established in their own respective ways. But why I brought up the idea, the concept of a victorious vagrant, is you being gaslit via the abuse of your time, resources, energy, and all facets of life. Be it in a service or whatever trade or relationship that you have established for yourself, or you believe you established. You start understanding the difference between a house and a home. Genuine friends you can love as a brother or sister, or shitbirds who are pecking at you in a spiritual way, social, any self-serving means. As always, most relationships, that's different from a relationship, are rooted in manipulation, deception, and intentional abuse of one's full P's, meaning that problem solving, protection, provision, procreation. We'll get to that in a minute. Often governed by senseless and selfish givers in all facets of life. So, before I get into it, let's speak on how senseless givers can be deemed as victorious vagrants. How many of you give so much of yourself to provide for everybody else, but often they're the shit end of the stick? You hope to be giving of yourself in order to hope to receive maybe 10% of that back, some appreciation, some hint of significance by people who could really give a shit about you. And you get used so much, either you become bitter and morph into a selfish giver, or over time, that bitterness eats away at you. eats away at your health, eats away at your self-esteem. Some of us are haunting graveyards or places that we frequent because of that cancer, not just figuratively, but literally. It ate away at us on the mere fact that people did not appreciate who we are, what we provide, and what we're about. When it comes to the senseless giver, that's how you become a victorious vagrant. And the victory part becomes very damning when you understand the word of this. Pyrrhic. A victory that is not worth winning because so much is lost to achieve it. To those who allow this to resonate within your position in life at this time, think about what you gave to people, family, an unloving marriage, people who are feeding off you, and you're slaving away, allowing yourself to become a prisoner of perspective. Meanwhile, people treat you like a disposable razor or a diaper. That's what it means for a Pyrrhic victory, all for the sake of having a relationship because you don't have one for or with yourself. How many of you found out the hard way that when you think about being at the altar, you found out that that individual was in love with the idea of being in a marriage, but has long divorced you, but only made official when it was beneficial to them or they couldn't stand living that lie anymore? How many of you are in situations where you give so much of yourself to someone else's situation that when you look in the mirror, you don't recognize yourself? That's what a victorious vagrant looks like. Living the lie of cohabitation, living a lie of status. This is why you see a lot of these ethnic outposts out here, living with that mantra, faking it till you make it. Now, we'll talk about the 4 P's. We look at the selfish giver. You have individuals who use hospitality as handcuffs. Anytime they do you a favor or solid, they're too busy putting an invoice in your face. Remember, I did this for you. And they give you all kind of reasons not to ever ask them for a favor again. And shout out to my homegirl, Lovely T. I often tease her about this. I say the either the YouTube community or even social media itself owes you child support. There's so many of your bastards running around mimicking you. Not to use you specifically, but if you think about it, if you let it affect you like it has many of us out here, you would have been a victorious vagrant. Someone who gave so much of themselves only to lose themselves. But we know that's not the case. But I'm talking to the everyday individual that's listening to the sound of my voice. How many of you are paying not just the cost, but the exceeding tax or tariff of living a lie? The illusion of so-called friends, family, husband, wife, whatever rank you put upon yourself, or whatever accolade you like to hide behind. At what cost is it to lose yourself, to be around a bunch of people who give a fuck about you? I'm sure you guys heard these examples. If mama ain't happy, then no one's going to be happy. Or how about this one? Happy wife, happy life. Or maybe you heard this one. If you can't accept me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. It's a Thought Bible excerpt from the book of Edges, chapter 4, verse 4. Here's a final example among many. You pseudo high value individuals who lead with external means rather than that established internal intangibles. They're often deemed priceless. In the example I gave earlier, you have to think about the power of your voice, not just your actual voice, but that voice that was placed within you to speak life into your existence, why you're here, what you're about. With my homegirl, as I used, she was made fun of, called all manner of things. But you know, the amazing thing is she kept pushing. And the same things that she was harassed about, looked down upon for. These same individuals are copycatting and doing what she does. She's one of many that realize that the internal value, being genuine, being forthright, being about the business, staying on the mission, being her genuine self, freed her from being a pseudo-victorious vagrant. Unlike a lot of these conflict creators who panhandle and wander about, quick to abort the mission, pilfering the coffers of people's pockets, send them a whole heap of misinformation and bullshit, unapologetically too. Their stance is often changing with the wind. But you see, when it comes down to that, when adversity hits, they go where the wind blows. One minute they're an activist, now they're on some bullshit in a different shade. So you gotta ask yourself, the sound of my voice, in looking at your life, are you a victorious vagrant? Are you moving in ways where you feel like you're in a house, not a home? You're among scavengers instead of people who promote solidarity, brotherhood, sisterhood, appreciation. Am I a platonic prostitute? Am I a cuck of convenience? Am I a spiritually impaired or impoverished mule of provision? When I look off reflective surfaces, what do I see? Someone that I can celebrate, or a complete stranger? If the answer to these questions are negative, we might be a victorious vagrant. A position unbecoming of those who are suffering in silence or screaming at the top of their lungs trying to figure out what the fuck to do next. This is why this is a solution-based channel. As my brother Sheep Stay Sleep will always say, and shout out to him, we gotta heal before we build. We also must allow the sheep to remain asleep. So here's 4 things I'm gonna leave you with at the end of this. Number 1, Exercise situational awareness. Orientate yourself to the moment where you're at right now. If you're honestly sick and tired of being fucking sick and tired, be it certain people, be it your job, be it your dwelling, your appearance, your health, all things pertaining to you, you got to fully assess, how is any of this shit benefiting me? Who am I? Where am I? And if you're unsettled in your position in life right now, it is on you to unfuck yourself. So when you exercise situational awareness, you start seeing what's really around you, who's around you, what's going on, and understanding that not only are you the common denominator to this, but if you look at yourself, you can be the key to that place that you call home. Be it you're physically homeless or you're spiritually homeless, you got to get back home. It's always said home is where the heart is. And if you're in places around people that don't appreciate what is in here, and definitely in here, and what you bring to the conversation or even to the platform, it's time you start packing your shit and going home. Which leads to number 2. Develop a healthy appetite for the unedited truth. Some of you need to wake up and look around you and see how many lies you're living. See how many people really don't give a fuck about you. See, now most of the people are sleepwalking, being in situations like, yeah, these people really like me, but let them be deprived of the very things that they've been stealing from you, and see how they really feel about you. Some of you give them a shield to hide behind their insecurity, hide from their insecurity. Some of you help them financially, socially. Some people view you as an emotional tampon. If you were to pick up their phone and call your number, how would you be identified as? Food guy, booty call chick, sneaky link, emotional tampon. You pick a title to see if it's befitting to you. But you have to be ultimately responsible for the consequences you choose and accept. And sometimes it's a very bitter pill to swallow. Now, I'm not referring to these red jelly beans out here who are fronting to be about the truth. Because too many people will worry about anti-politics, doing the shame, blame, and explain goofiness. Owning the truth is the express way to understanding and manifesting the truth. It gives you a fair opportunity to make honest decisions, to enrich yourself or entrench yourself in the fuck shit you establish for yourself or beyond yourself. As usual, if you look back in your life, you look at your ring, you look at pictures, you look at your current status today. Are you ready to accept what you thought was the truth but isn't? All situations vary. But in order to develop this healthy appetite, you need to look within yourself. Take that time to look in that mirror, either in front of everybody, but especially to yourself, by yourself. If you don't like what you see, hear, or been placed into, this is the time to to cleanse yourself. And don't expect instant gratification. Because a lot of the movements from here on out are going to hurt. Some scars you're going to need to make reopen, but to clear the infection out, it's going to require you to put that time in. That's when you start living in the truth, not your truth, but the truth. Which leads to number 3. Execute efficiently. It'd be smart to not make your announcements to the enemy to alert them. They want you in that sedated state of stupidity. Once you realize that you're not comfortable in your position, you start moving accordingly. See, again, you understand when they start getting cocky, they start getting sloppy. There's no sense to you being outright bitter because, yes, they did fuck you out of your time, your resources, treat you some kind of way which you honestly allowed, myself included. It's on you to move accordingly, knowing the truth that you see has been presented to you. Make no apologies to these individuals because you owe it to yourself. You got to move smart, move efficiently. So when you look at myself when I worked at FedEx, granted, I gave my all to my job, but at what cost? I was injury prone. I wasn't happy. I was a slave to micromanagement, which has been the bane of my existence. At what cost are you willing to invest in executing efficiently? I nearly got fired trying to fight an area manager due to disrespect and just pure frustration. But when I got sick and tired, I made sure my actions, words, and intent worked in concert. Otherwise, it's all bullshit. Too many people talk a good game, but if they don't execute, they're too scared to move. Executing efficiently requires you to get back to understanding the necessity and importance of not just your time and energy, but your 4 P's. Problem solving, protection, procreation, and provision. Especially to the brothers out there. When you hear women or individuals in general reduce you to merely 2 P's, 1 P, maybe 3, you're not being utilized correctly. This is where your Jonathans pop in. This is where you got guys online complaining about Crunchy Foot Carla and Dusty Foot Derica and Edgeless Angie ad infinitum. You start looking at what you are set to accomplish, setting goals and visions for yourself. Shake the table if you need to get certain people around from you. Some you need to get a slow fade. Others, you need to drop kick them out of your life immediately. Also, in making your egress from certain situations, start paying attention to how they execute. If you so choose to keep them around them or excommunicate them slowly, or whatever you choose to do. Again, a lot of people like to talk a good game, but their actions, words, and intent don't work in concert. You know what you need to do. Finally, learn to forgive and redeem yourself. For some people, this is going to be the hardest step because it's too easy, especially what you've seen in this space, people pointing fingers. They did this, they did that. But while you're pointing those 2 fingers in there, there's 6 pointing back at you. You didn't notice. Accountability is a must. And it starts with learning to forgive yourself, which means you start learning how to value yourself, heal yourself. You cannot get that time back per se. But this is when you start redeeming your time by rechanneling your focus. I made a story on Facebook where I had a very divisive graphic design instructor. And I saw this counsel about having my first client. I didn't know anything about making money off graphic design at the time, so he arrogantly sat there and said, you know what? For that logo for a record company, charge $500. Within a day, well, I'll say about almost 48 hours, I brought back 5 crisp $100 bills and I showed him. The look on his face was priceless because he never spoke to me again. He actually segregated the classes, and amazingly, it was due to race. But hey, what I learned from that was, in his absence, I started understanding I do have a gift. And if I take time to nurture and manifest it, I'll surpass his bullshit standards. Not for him, but to help redeem yourself. The confidence you lost in hearing other people saying you're wasting your time. Whatever negative connotations they throw at you. Learning the importance of having a healthy relationship with yourself. Learning how to treat yourself. Take yourself out. Entertain yourself. Understanding what you like. And when you start mastering that, you learn how to teach other people how to treat you, which in turn allows you to establish system, order, and structure, or whatever version of SOS you deem important to you. This is what helps you transcend from relationships to possible solid relationships. That way, in turn, you may teach others how to treat themselves. And this is how you transition from a victorious vagrant to the best version of yourself. Rather than be these internet weenies pissing them on about punani politics and the ghosts of pussy's past. Or these edgeless oracles who enjoy the company of miserable hoes, the crunchy foot Carlas and the bald-headed Brendas who don't want to see their sisters have healthy relationships by calling them pygmies, which in turn is projection because no one wants to pick them. And before I delve into the femcel conversation, which are certain individuals you wouldn't even fuck to fix your credit, which I'll speak on another day. Remember the importance of learning how to forgive and redeem yourself. You're never too late to treat yourself. Appreciate yourself. That is the road to being a sensible giver. Paying yourself first while giving other people enough room to redeem themselves or hang themselves. So with that, you already know the deal. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for future videos. Never allow your comfort zone to become your coffin. Salute to all my veterans across the board. Semper Fi. Much love to you guys. Peace.